Everybody, Cashflow Kris here, taking on.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Cashflow Kris here at
What's up, everybody? Cashflow Kris with Investors Edge Real Estate Group here. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Leveling Up Book Club. We are in June 2020, and we are reading Limitless. This is day 2 of Limitless. The homework was to read part 2, which is chapters 5 and 6. And I look forward to getting started. But before we get started, we had a little bit of homework from last week. So the first was white space. You were supposed to get rid of all technology for at least 30 minutes a day. Did anybody get to do that at least one time? Jordan, you said you did.
Yeah, I did the white space.
Tell me about it. What did it do for you? Did it help? Did it not help?
It did. It's just that it's actually easier said than done. I just can't help but think stuff that I need to do right after. I guess I just have to train my brain to just relax and meditate for some time instead of just like worrying about the next stuff that I need to do during my day.
Right. You gotta let it go because you can't put it in your phone.
Exactly.
Eve, you said you did?
Yes, I did.
What was your experience?
It's actually it felt good that for quite some time. So I just decided to sit down, just observe my kids. Don't think of anything. Don't use any gadgets. So it's just forget other things that is going around. So it's like a me time for myself. So it felt good somehow that at least for 30 minutes I was able to declutter my brain.
Right. Declutter is a good word. Anybody else give it a whirl?
Yeah, I did, Kris.
Go ahead,
Jonathan. Okay. I did. I found it was, even though I've done the exercise before, it was a lot harder than I thought. As I know BP likes to talk about the monkey brain a lot. You start thinking about, all right, it's been 2 minutes. All right, I'm doing good. Let's concentrate on my breathing and just relaxing and, just kind of, letting things go by. And then it's like, oh man, I'm used to my phone vibrating right now. Or I wonder how many emails I'm behind right now. Or did I forget about this project?
How many people kept grabbing for their phone? Like something would pop in my head and I'd go get my phone. Oh shit. Jonathan, what's your experience?
Yeah, it was pretty tough, man. So I have a nice outdoor space in my backyard here at home. And, I said, hey, I'm gonna go outside and sit, and try to do 30 minutes, man. But it was like that. I didn't make it 30 minutes for one. And then like my time was just kind of consumed with everything I needed to do once I got back to my desk. So it wasn't really like free. It wasn't really like a time of like pure white space where I can kind of let go. It was more like, okay, I'm still thinking about the things I was thinking about while I was in front of my computer. So is this more repetition that's needed on my end?
So was this in the middle of your workday?
Yeah. I think that's when I feel like that's when it's going to be best utilized. But I feel like because I'm just ripping and running all day and like crunching numbers and calling folks and all that, it's kind of hard just to shut off, while I'm in the midst of that storm,
Right, for sure. Anybody else want to, JT says white space, I believe is going to take practice. Yeah. So my time was I took a couple walks this week. I didn't do it every day, but I took a couple walks without my phone. And I tell you, man, it's hard to get used to, even if, because at the very least I got music or a book running, like always. So there's always something going inside my brain. So, it was good, but yeah, I just caught myself just shit goes in my head and then I want to take action on it. Right. And so I go for my phone and it's not there. So, I think it's good though. And then my kids, man, like, especially summertime, morning to night, man, it's bad. We have to set limits. They are just always just, my oldest 12, he's got a phone, and so he gets text messages like he's not even here. You got to slap him upside the head like, dude, I'm talking to you. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. They're no attention span. So we probably only have ourselves to blame. So, all right. So the next thing was notifications. It was suggested to take notifications off, especially the ones that you like don't need, you know. So anybody that help anybody out? I didn't do it, and my shit's been blowing up all morning, and it's fucking pissing me off. So that's karma coming back at me. I got to go turn them all off. I was reading, I was listening, reading to the book this morning, and it bing, you know, like they would say 8 words, bing, 8 words, bing. I'm like, mother. Raul, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, so I didn't turn notifications off per se because I already hate when my phone constantly goes off. So I only have it on for certain apps or for certain people, right? But what I did do something similar somehow over the years. My email has been added to all these, you know, spam distribution lists or like sales distribution lists. So for the last 2 days, what I've actually been doing is, in the past, what I would just get one of those, you know, 50% off of this or whatever it was, I would just delete it. Now what I've been doing is actually unsubscribe or just create a rule in my Gmail that says as long as I get an email from this, just throw in the trash, right? Because I feel like if I unsubscribe, they know that I'm checking email, and then they'll sell that list to somebody else, right? So then I'll start to get emails. Whereas if I just put it straight on the trash, nobody knows. It never hits my inbox. And I've already seen in 2 days a decrease in my email just going off all day.
Dude, that's great. Yeah, that's for busy business owners out there. That's a great thing for your VA to do. And I need to take that advice. I need to listen to my own advice. It's easy. All you do is tag them, right? Every email has some sort of tag. Tag it, give your VA your credentials, and have them go in and just unsubscribe to everything. You know, one of many little menial tasks that we do on our own that somebody else can do. But as Raul said, you know, if you're doing it as you go along, now it's not overwhelming. Now it's easy, you know, using technology, which that's a lot of what we learned from Atomic Habits, you know, using technology to make our habits better. And then I would say another takeaway that I had was the white space was walking without my phone. That's a form of habit stacking, right, guys? You know, because I have the habit of walking at night, and I want to add a habit of white space. So just do them at the same time. That's the good one. If you guys didn't see that one, go back. First of all, read it. But we have the book club from last month for Atomic Habits. All right, test time. Phone number. Let's hear it. Without cheating, who's gonna go?
I got one.
Jonathan, give it to us. You don't have to give us the last digit because this is gonna be.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna change the last digit because it's my fiance. I don't know how to call it, but it's 225-262-9994.
All right. Now, just in case your phone dies, you gotta go borrow somebody's phone. You're like, shit, what's their number? I don't know. Who else? Who's got a number?
I got one. This was someone that one of my best friends. I always communicate with him like daily. It was pretty easy. 602-601-8458.
There it is.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, mine was 480-616-86. And my business partner, you know how many times I've written that guy's name in for, you know, because we do loans and stuff together, and we're always like applying for stuff. We're buying plane tickets together. Like I've written that dude's number down 100 times probably, and I still didn't know it. So until I actually paid attention. What's that?
You got his birthday memorized as well then?
Oh, I do. I sure do. Who's got their spouses or significant others' social security memorized? No, your kids? See, I know my wife's. But I don't know my kids. I have no idea what my kids are.
I know Kris is social.
Oh shit. Let's move forward. All right, let's see. All right, good stuff, guys. I'm glad that you're taking action on what we learned. Let's get started. All right, so we are moving into part 2. The spell of belief systems, chapter 5. So again, in the book, he talks about the 3 different signs, the mindset, motivation, and methods. And right now we are talking about mindset. That's where we are moving into today. The what? All right, so mindset. The deeply held beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions we create about who we are, how the world works, and what we are capable of and deserve, and what is possible. Our mindset. We talked already about how our family, our environment shapes that mindset. And then these 2 chapters have to do with lie, which is limited idea entertained. They're lies, they're not truths. If you are like the vast majority of people out there, you are entertaining ideas about yourself that define you as something less than what you truly have the potential to achieve. You're giving these ideas energy and allowing them to take residence in your mind, but they're really nothing but belief systems. And the messed up thing is there's a lot of us who were raised really well. Like my parents did not abuse me mentally, physically, or otherwise. You know what I mean? They taught me a lot, but still their limiting beliefs are going to be my limiting beliefs. Both of my parents were raised very poor. You know, do you think that that has an effect on them, which then again has an effect on me? So yeah, so you're giving these ideas energy and allowing them to take residence in your mind. There's nothing but belief systems. Mark Twain, little known fact about Cash Flow Kris. I'm related to Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, a cousin of a cousin of a cousin of a cousin. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Oof. I like that one. Why do your beliefs have such an effect on your life? Why do limiting beliefs keep you from your goals? How do you reject limiting beliefs? Finding my Roger Bannister. Everybody knows Roger Bannister's story, I imagine. What Bannister did was show that this barrier wasn't in fact a barrier at all. That was what the waitress showed Jim. You'll see that what you perceived your brain's capacity to be was so much less than what it really was. If you have continued to struggle with learning for many years, have a model to change your perceptions of your own restrictions. So let's see what this next one is. Okay, so the Roger Bannister was the 4-minute mile, right? Was it? It was, yeah, that was the time frame, right? So coming up through the history of time, nobody said you couldn't beat the 4-minute mile. Nobody could beat the 4-minute mile. It's just not humanly possible. And that was just like a belief in the running circles until Roger Bannister beat it. And if you look at his time, he beat it by less than a second. So like he barely beat it. But within a month, 2 months, his record was beat, and again and again and again. And that just broke the barrier of people thought this was true, but it really wasn't. The inner critic isn't harmless. It inhibits you, limits you, and stops you from pursuing the life you truly want to live. It robs you of the peace of mind and emotional well-being, and if left unchecked long enough, it can lead to serious mental health problems like depression or anxiety. What if I tell you that you are a genius? Let's see, hold on. Oh, I skipped one. My bad. All right. So what limiting beliefs do to us? They are often revealed in our self-talk, that inner conversation that focuses on what you're convinced you can't do rather than what you already excel at and what you're going to continue to achieve today and in the future. What was that, JT? The monkey mind?
Yeah, the monkey brain.
The monkey brain. What does BP say about the monkey brain?
Gotta tell it to shut up. It's just that that also known as the ego brain in the back of your head, where all your limiting beliefs and other things are at. That stopgap. It's built as a safety mechanism from back when we were primates.
Right. That's that reptilian brain. It's fight or flight. It's all about surviving and talk about limiting. If all you think about that, if your brain is programmed to just make sure you survive, that's about as limiting as you can get, because all you're gonna do is just survive. That's big. So
Well, and it's reactive.
What's that?
It's reactive. So you're not creating anything. You're just instant reaction, emotional.
Right. Exactly, man. So yeah, the lies are limited ideas entertained. And he has another, he likes his acronyms, right? BS is the other one. Did somebody chat here? Let's see. This chat takes a while. Anyways.
I was just saying no awareness with the ego.
What's that?
That's all I just typed up, like no awareness with the ego. That's why it's reactive.
Right. Okay, so the iceberg belief. Hey, we're entrepreneurs, so we've always seen the iceberg thing, right? You know, because what you see above water. So iceberg beliefs are deeply rooted and powerful, and they fuel our emotions. The most entrenched an iceberg is, the more havoc it wreaks on your life, creating your schedule chaos, getting in the way of successfully sticking to a diet, or holding you back from seizing opportunities. And perhaps most significantly, they say, if we get a handle on our icebergs, we gain an enormous amount of control over our feelings and our lives. Melt an iceberg and all the downstream events it causes get washed away as well. Let's see. Here in the book, it says, our background and circumstances may have influenced who we are, but we must be accountable for who we become. When you accept all that your potential is entirely within your control, then the power of that potential grows dramatically. No martyrs allowed. I don't care how you were raised, right? I mean, once you're an adult, it's up to you to make those decisions. We come into this world not knowing if life is hard or easy, if money is scarce or abundant, if we're important or unimportant. We look at two people who know everything, our parents. Parents are our first teachers, and although they probably meant us no harm, we'll still come away with our childhoods with the limiting beliefs they unconsciously instill in us. The key to making yourself limitless is unlearning false assumptions. And then next, if your limiting beliefs are in control, you could find yourself mired in underachievement. Oh, you could find yourself mired in underachievement, either wondering why you never really get ahead or convinced that you don't deserve it. Woe is me. So they talked about the different geniuses. So there are multiple forms of genius. Various experts differ on the number, but it's commonly agreed that geniuses express itself in at least one of four manners. Here's a way of looking at it. Dynamo genius, those who express their genius through creativity and ideas. Dynamo geniuses are those we most commonly think of when we think of geniuses, like smart, crazy smart people, right? Blaze genius, those geniuses become clear through their interactions with others. Blaze geniuses tend to be master communicators.
That must be BP.
What's that?
Well, that's got to be BP right there. Blaze genius.
The blaze genius. Next is tempo genius, those who get genius expressed, whose genius expresses itself through their ability to see the big picture and stay the course. Tempo geniuses tend to understand the long view in ways that most of those around them cannot. Jeff Bezos, anyone? Like, who saw that? Who saw Amazon what it is today? Maybe he didn't, because he started as a book sales, right? What do you guys? Oh, sorry, we got one more. Steel genius. Those who are brilliant at sweating the small stuff and doing something with the details that others missed and couldn't envision. Still geniuses love getting all their information, and they can have a vision for doing something with that information that most others miss. So, what kind of genius are you? Let's go around and talk about it. Who wants to start?
I definitely resonated more with the dynamo genius. My background is in marketing, so I've always had a fascination with creativity, and I love artistry and all that type of stuff. So that definitely kind of spoke to me.
Okay. How about Paul? What kind of genius are you? Paul, then JT.
I pose the question to Kris, 'cause you know me better. Which one do you think I best fit? See if you agree here.
I would say, oh man, I think you're steel genius, I would say. You like, everything's got to be lined up for you. You got to really have a process.
That's not what I picked.
What'd you pick?
Dynamo, more creative.
Okay. JT, and then Mike.
I would definitely say Blaze genius, more communication, adaptive.
Okay. You're the Oprah Winfrey. Mike, and then let's go with Pat. If your Mike's working, Pat.
Yeah, I would say definitely same thing. Blaze genius, just being able to be a wordsmith, I guess. Very good with my words, very particular about what I say, and just being able to put everything together. And it just works. I don't know where it comes from. It just works.
That's the genius of it, right? That's the genius. Yeah. I don't know why. You know what I mean? Oprah doesn't know why she's badass. She's just badass. Pat, you with us? And then we'll go to Eve. Okay, Eve, and then DeAndre.
I think I'm more of a dynamo genius.
Okay.
Yeah.
DeAndre, and then Raul.
I would say the more dynamo as well. I'm a creative person as well. And just, just like to be able to express myself. So I would definitely say dynamo as well.
Raul, and then Maya. Or Maya, you can type yours in if your mic's not working. And then I'll say Rondell. How about you, Rondell? Kelly or Jordan? Dynamo for Maya. She's dynamo. I agree with that one.
I'm a cross between like Blaze and tempo.
Blaze and tempo. Okay. Jordan,
you can see the bigger picture.
Yeah, you got to. And definitely we're going to be more than one thing. It's just like kind of the disc assessment. You're a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. Jordan, what do you think you are?
I think that would be dynamo.
Okay. And did we miss anybody?
Hey, Kris, apologies. My microphone was cutting in and out. I'm more of the dynamo, I feel, right? I see like the long term, the bigger picture, and anything to get there is just the means to an end, right?
Okay, so you're tempo genius.
Or tempo genius, yeah.
You're tempo,
Yep.
You see the big picture, you stay the course, such as Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa's tempo genius allowed her to imagine better circumstances for those around her, even at the darkest times. All right. Thanks for sharing, everybody.
Kris, did you
All
go?
right. What's that?
Did you go?
Yeah, I believe I'm tempo. I think I'm more of a big picture guy.
I would have said steel.
You would say steel for me? I'm a
You're a numbers guy.
Details?
You're a numbers guy.
I am a numbers guy. Yeah, I guess that could be definitely true because, we're in real estate. Real estate's a math equation to me. So I suppose that's right. So I guess that's another good point, is how we see ourselves and how other people see us in most cases are different. So interesting. It isn't only in your head. There are clear connections between positive thinking and physical health. They note that these benefits: increased lifespan, lower rates of depression, distress, greater resistance of the common cold, anti-COVID. You got to be positive to stop the COVID, guys. Better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health. Yes, JT says we might be more than one genius. Absolutely, I fully agree with that. Reframing limiting beliefs. How do you minimize limiting beliefs and develop a superhero mindset? These are the 3 keys. Key number 1, name your limiting beliefs. So know what your belief is and call it out. Get to the facts. Boy, and then create a new belief. I like it. Replace something bad with something good. All right, let me see if I had any other notes. Positive people from the general population were 13% likely than negative their counterparts to have a heart attack or another coronary event. I underline those. So let's see. If you encounter external or internal attempts to put constraints on you, you can act like a thermostat and reject those limiting beliefs and create an environment that aligns with your most ambitious goals. I love that. I mean, I've seen that used in a couple different metaphors, specifically in Jeff Fagan uses it for financial. Is your thermometer set, to rich, or is it set to poor? And then this talks about how instead of being a thermostat instead of a thermometer, so you can change it. You're just not what you are. You make yourself what you are. So go back to reframing. Number 1 is name your limiting beliefs. Start paying attention right now to every time you tell yourself that you're incapable, even if you think that this particular thing might not be consequential in your life. So even if you don't think it's bad, start paying attention to all the things that you're telling yourself that you can't do. Okay? Number 2, get to the facts. Number 3, create a new belief. And let me see if I have any other notes. No notes, but moving on to the next one. Of course, a lot of you aren't listening, I know, but in the audio version, the lady that he's talking to, she said something that stuck out to me. She says, whenever she's looking at something, she said, well, if somebody's done it, then it's doable. And if it's doable, it's probably doable by me, right? So that right there, like, talk about forgetting your limiting beliefs. Like, anything that's actually been done before can be done. Can it be done by you? Any thoughts, comments, ideas on chapter 6 or chapter 5 before we move on?
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. First.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll say this. I mean, just so I'm not following along with the actual book. I have the audio version, and just the little like in betweens. It's a big difference. Like, he's able to break down what it is that he means exactly on like certain areas that he wasn't able to get into too much detail on in the book. And I mean, it's like a whole nother subchapter essentially. And it's pretty awesome just to get into his mind. Like, this is the first of that I've ever heard of him, and just to be able to get a little more, just to figure out who he is, just to get a little more on him. It's awesome. It really is.
Sure. Raul, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, to the comment, right, that if he has been done before, then I can do it as well. I would also say that just because he hasn't been done, it doesn't mean that you cannot do it, right? It just, nobody has found a way to make it work, right? Like, all the geniuses that have been in our books and in history, everybody thought that they were crazy, but they found a way to make it work, whatever it was that they were trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And now everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Once you have a blueprint.
And a lot of those are just like, well, why did we do it differently before? That's crazy, this is so. And what book were we reading about? oh, what was it? I think it was the last book that we read, and they were talking about monkeys. If a monkey came from a group of monkeys and they knew how to crack open a coconut like really well, if they moved them to a group of monkeys that just like weren't as advanced and they didn't have the good technique, just to fit in, the smarter monkey who has the better technique would start doing it the crappy way just to fit in. Instead of being a leader and being like, hey guys, why are you doing it like this? Check this out, you know? Instead, you want to just be like everybody else. So you're going to conform, even though you know it's detrimental to you. You know, you're doing things not as well as you could be. So you're literally you're limiting on purpose. It's kind of crazy.
That's social pressure.
It sure is. It sure is. All right. Anything else on that, or let's move on to chapter 6? Yeah, it's 10:37. Let's move on. Yeah, what Raul was talking, I think that's a good point. So, you know, like I think about like architecture and stuff like that. So when you get the creative minds out there, they go and they see a property and they're just, you know, well, what about this? Could you do this? You know, can you make that glass? Can you, you know, just, most of with engineering, you know, whatever you can come up with in your brain, you have to have an engineer to show that it can actually be done in reality. So it's interesting stuff. What are the most limiting myths you tell yourself? Shout it out. What's the most limiting myth you tell yourself?
I'm not smart enough.
I don't deserve it.
Yeah, don't deserve it.
I'll start tomorrow.
What's that?
I'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow leads into next year. So,
oh man, what else? Who's got a limiting belief?
Not experienced enough.
I'm not experienced enough.
I don't know anyone personally that has done this.
It probably won't work for me. Yeah. And I shared a video last week, and it talks about what you say verbally or what you say in your head is bad, but what you say verbally is 7 times. It has 7 times more effect. And then negativity puts a times 10 on it. So if you're saying in your head something positive, that's like 1. If you say something out loud that is negative, that's 70 as far as how it impacts your brain. So this crazy stuff. So not only do we think it, sometimes, you know, oh, I'm so stupid. God, I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Don't say it. How can you overcome the debilitating effects of these myths? How can you turn these limiting beliefs into positive ones? You are being lied to constantly, sometimes by yourself. We are all subject to an endless stream of misinformation about our constraints and our capabilities. And we receive this information so often, most of us have no other choice than to believe it. Lie number 1, we're going over the 7 lies. Intelligence is fixed. It's a fixed mindset. In a fixed mindset, students believe their basic abilities, their intelligence, and talents are just fixed traits. They have a certain amount, that's that, and their goal becomes to look smart all the time and never look dumb. Hold on. What book was it that we read where the guy had the SAT score that was wrong? You guys remember that story? That's what this just reminds me of that so bad. It was one of our books we read. So I think it was this book. I don't know. Maybe I read ahead or something. But this guy never did well in school, right? Always did really bad at school, And he took the SATs and he got like a phenomenal score. He got the score of a genius, right? And so from that day forward, he took school so seriously and he focused on it, and he went and he had a great education. He went through high school, he went through college. He was very, very successful. But then several years later, SAT company said, oh, hey, by the way, we made a bunch of mistakes. And he didn't get a genius score. He's an idiot. He got like a 700 or something. But his brain believed that he was smart, and it completely changed it. So he faked himself out. So on that, like, what can we do to fake ourselves out? You know what I mean? That just, it blows my mind. It's because he believed it. Before he believed he was an idiot. And then it was something telling him that this is true, even though it wasn't true, but an outside source told him what to do. And he just took it for belief. He didn't believe in his brain. He believed what some random person said. Like, that's amazing. All right, sorry, I digress. Growth mindset. So the first is the fixed mindset. Second is the growth mindset. In a growth mindset, students understand that their talents and abilities can be developed through effort, good teaching, and persistence. They don't necessarily think everyone's the same or anyone can be Einstein, but they believe everyone can get smarter if they work at it. With the fixed mindset, things are the way they are. We are powerless to change them. With the growth mindset, we have the ability to improve anything. Lie number 2, we only use 10% of our brains. I know I heard this all the time. So what I want you to take from this is that you have all the power in your brain available to you now. While we use all our brains, some people use their brain better than others. Just as most people use 100% of their body, there are some bodies that are faster, stronger, more flexible, and more energized than others. The key is to learn how to use your brain as efficiently and effectively as you possibly can. And by the end of this book, you will have the tools to do so. New belief. I am learning to use my whole brain. Yeah, I mean, throughout that whole section, they just had proof, you know, science after science just shows you do use your entire brain. It's just to what capacity. Lie number 3, mistakes or failures. The truth, mistakes don't mean failure. This one, I mean, I don't even think this is a huge problem for a lot of people on this phone call because you're an entrepreneur. I mean, we've all learned long ago that we're gonna make mistakes. It's kind of ingrained in us. Mistakes don't mean failure. Mistakes are a sign that you are trying something new. You might think you have to be perfect, but life is not comparing yourself to anyone else. It's about measuring yourself compared to who you were yesterday. When you learn from your mistakes, they have the power to turn you into something better than you were before. There is no such thing as failure. Only, I can't read that. It's in the way. Couple notes I took on that. When you learn from your mistakes, they have the power to turn you into something better than you were before. You're not your mistakes. Making a mistake doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It's easy to jump to the conclusion that you're inherently worthless, but you make mistakes. Mistakes don't make you. Place them under your feet and use them as stepping stones to rise to the next level. It's not how we make mistakes, but how we deal with them that defines us. Okay, only failure to learn. There you go. Number 4. Knowledge is not power. It only has the potential to be power. You can read this book and learn everything in it, but if you don't take it and apply the knowledge, it will be useless. It's easy to talk about what we learned, but I want to challenge you not to talk about it, but to show you what you learned. It's better well done than well said. Don't promise, prove. Your results will speak for themselves. Action, knowledge times action equals power. Boom. I did not have any notes on that one. Number 5, learning new things is very difficult. Oh, it's so hard. Here's the truth. Sometimes it's hard to learn new things. What's more accurate is to understand what learning is, that learning is a set of methods, a process that can easily, certainly be easier when you learn how to learn, when you know how to learn. New belief. When you learn new ways how to learn, the challenge of learning new things can be fun, easier, and more enjoyable.
So I got a powerful paradigm shift when it comes to that. Exactly.
Sure.
I heard one time at a seminar.
What you got?
One time at a seminar, I heard a powerful word that said, nothing is hard. It's just new.
There you go.
So think about which one sounds more exciting, more fun. Hard or it's new? Eventually, you're going to know how to do whatever you know how to do. Ride a bike, brush your teeth, drive a car, whatever.
Yeah.
So why not reframe the way you talk about it? And it's not hard. It's just new.
I like that, Paul. Thanks for interjecting.
I don't know, bro. I had a real hard time in physics in high school. That shit was hard.
Truth. But maybe your teacher just didn't teach it in a way that that was fun to learn. I guess, you never know.
That could be possible.
All right, number 6, the criticism of other people matters. Oh, guys, this is probably the worst lie that we tell ourselves. This is the worst. Here's the truth. Creating a life you want can be scary, but you know what's scarier? Regret. One day we will take our final breaths and not one other person's opinion or your fears will matter. What will matter is how we live. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. Boom. People will doubt you and criticize you no matter what you do. You will never know your true potential until you break the unfair judgments you place on yourself. Don't allow other people's opinions, expectations to run or ruin your life. New belief, it is not your job to like, love, or respect me. It's my job. Let's talk about this one, guys.
Preach.
Who struggles with this? Who struggles with what the fuck people are going to think? Right? Dad.
For me, this one was tough, just because I'm kind of new to entrepreneurship. Like my whole life, been told to do. I'm coming from a background of being an electrician, and I just recently quit my job. Just being told, oh, what are you doing? Like, that's stupid. Like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, from my whole family, essentially. So that alone, it's been kind of hard to just go away from them and not listen to it. It's been tough, but I'm doing it.
Good stuff, Mike. Who else? Who else? Just little things like they talk about, babies fall 300 times, but they don't care. They don't think they don't care what people think because they want to walk. They want to walk. But we get to adults, in the book he talks about, maybe you're in class learning the trumpet or something and you do a bad note. And, kids are assholes. They laugh at you. So, now you don't want to do it because you don't want to make a mistake. Or you're in class and you say the wrong answer. And that's one bad thing with school these days. You know what I mean? It's right or wrong. There's no collaboration. There's no group thing. There's no support. And kids are like that, And it's probably, I think it's the both ways, you say something wrong and you feel like a complete idiot. But then if you're right, you're on this pedestal because you got this stupid question right. You know what I mean? Who else struggles with this? Let's talk about it. I think this is a really big problem that we have. How many people haven't gone to a concert because of what their friends thought? How many people don't listen to music that they like because of what their friends say?
Remember that Moss concert we went to?
What's that?
Remember that concert you took me to?
Who didn't hang out with somebody that was their friend because of what their friends thought? Who didn't take certain courses? Who didn't try out for the team? Who didn't do this other stuff? And then who's doing it now? Who's doing it today? Criticism. Mike's family is criticizing him. A lot of us have family where it typically can come from a place of love because they don't want us to fail. But why don't they want us to fail? You know what I mean? Let us fail forward. It's because the world thinks that failure is failure, and it's not. Obviously.
Sometimes they don't want you to succeed either because they don't want to get left behind, especially your friends when you're in a growth state. That can stifle yourself right there. You're like, oh man, well, I don't want to make this person angry.
Like poppy seed syndrome or something like that. I don't know.
Man, it's so true. They they drag you down, and it might not even be conscious for them. They might not even know that they're doing it. So you being aware of it, right? That's the first thing. So the biggest
their limiting belief.
I had on this one. Go ahead, Kelly.
Right. It just speaks on their limited beliefs. When somebody tells you something's impossible or you can't do it, it just speaks from their level of mindset and what they feel like they can't do. That's from what I get.
For sure. Jonathan?
Yeah, for me, it's almost like the complete opposite because I have nothing but overwhelming support from my family and my friends. Like they've always looked at me as like the golden child that, you know, was going to, you know, make it. So for me, it's more of a limited belief that I won't be able to make it to their level of expectations that they set for me. And that's kind of, you know, what I kind of, you know, damn, man, like, I'm not a millionaire yet, you know, or damn, I haven't been able to crack the code and, you know, take down this 50-unit building yet, you know, so it's kind of like everybody expects so high of me. And when I don't make it to their expectations, like it's like a limited belief that I can actually, you know, achieve that level. So that's kind of what I'm facing.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Are you the oldest child?
I'm actually the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yep,
I'm the
that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah, that's normally an older child thing, because I know I deal with that with some stuff.
So you're the golden child, and what, you know, in your eyes, what you're seeing is they expect all of this. So, you know, it may be something where you're never, you know, what's enough? You know, have you ever even defined that with them? Like, ask your mom or dad or whoever it is, you know, what do you think successful? You know, if do you think I'm successful right now? You know, maybe you ask your parents, do you think I'm a success right now? You might be surprised what they say.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, I think they see where I am now and they see what I've always achieved. And they just like, just my family, my friends just know that I've always been like kind of meant for so much more than where I am right now. Even though like I have reached a level of success, they're like, oh man, this is just the tip of the iceberg for you. But I'm like, damn, man, I'm busting my ass just to get here, you know? So it's like, so that's kind of what I'm up against. It's getting over myself and, you know, actually, because I do feel like I can, you know, reach that level of success. I have to get out my own way, get out my own head about it.
But again, defining that, what is that level of success? What do you know? Is that a number? Is that $1 million in the bank? Is that 100 million in assets? You know what? I guess kind of defining that. Otherwise, we might just be chasing our tails forever. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I look back and, you know, I don't think that I'm anywhere near. I know I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, where I can be, where I will be. But then I look back and I'm like, well, shit, I own over 100 units. Like, that's crazy. So why am I have the limiting beliefs that I'm not really doing anything? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
weird.
defining what that level looks like is, I think, would be extremely important for all of us, for sure. And that's something, you know, I have like goals in mind, but they're like, it's not like a hard stop. It's kind of more of like a milestone. So figuring out like what that hard stop would be, and like, damn, you know, I reached it, you know, I can, you know, take a breather at this point. So yeah, right. I think it's good. Yeah.
It's hard to know because it's like I want to buy 5 units, Kris, from 2007 or whatever. To me, that's crazy. You know, where I'm at now is insane. I never thought possible that would be possible. But my, you know, 10,000 unit Kris in 5 years is just like, it's 100 units, who cares? You know, all about like kind of your own brain's expectations. And they did talk about seeing it done. I think a lot of people who get into our space, they have a hard time believing. Like, think about it. When you first got into wholesaling, did you think, so limiting beliefs. So when I first got started, people would pull a $3,000 fee, right? They'd pull a $5,000 fee. I remember watching one of these Flip This houses. You remember those Flip This house with Than Merrill and all those guys? So he bought like a quad from this dude, and he paid him an $80,000 referral fee, you know, an $80,000 wholesale fee. And I remember thinking, that's bullshit. Like, no way, nobody would ever be able to make that much money. This is so fake, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, yeah, I could see that. You know, I mean, what's the house worth? You know, what are they buying it for? You know, what's ARV? You know, it's like 80,000. Yeah, that's, of course. You could have pulled a little more, you know what I mean? So until you actually see something happen and know that it's true, you may, in your brain, you're just like, that's impossible. Get out of here. I think that's what a lot of our family members think, right? You know, you can do what? You know, you didn't even own it and you made this and that, and how can you buy, you know, how about us to get into the business? You have to buy, you have to put 20% down, right? That's a limiting belief in the real estate space, right? If you want to buy a real estate property, you have to have great credit. You have to go to a bank. You have to have 20% down. You have to. And then we don't buy any of them that way. Like none. We never use our money to buy properties. You know what I mean? Like we never have a down payment. So what if you're, you know, it all depends on like what you learn, how you're trained. That's why when we've brought on real estate agents, I rarely want to hire an existing real estate agent because they already have an experience and they have a set belief that, hey, one house a month, that's really good. No. I want to bring them in thinking and believing if I'm not selling 4 houses a month, I'm failing. Because now they have higher expectations. And what are they going to do? They're going to sell 4 houses because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Otherwise, you know, other agents, they learn that you can just not do it. And so anyways, there's my rant. Let's see, have we done this one? The purpose of my life has always been to free people from concern. How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. Let me read that again, guys. Listen, what do they need that your talent can provide? That is all you have to figure out. The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left is what was in your heart. Public imagination is woefully underwhelming, and people have a hard time reconciling what they believe is possible with what is actually happening. Public imagination is woefully underwhelming. As a whole, we are fucking boring. One day we will take, we read that one. People will doubt you and criticize you no matter what you do. You will never know your true potential until you break the unfair judgments you place on yourself. Don't allow other people's opinions and expectations to run or ruin your life. It is not your job to like, love, or respect me. It is mine. I love that. Let's hit this last one. Lie number 7, genius is born. The truth, genius leaves clues. Oh, I love that one. Genius leaves clues. What do other people do? Do what they do. There is always a method behind what looks like magic. New belief, genius is not born, it's made through deep practice. There we go. I did not have any other notes. Before we move on, a few things. Keep your radar up for any conventional wisdom that has the effect of putting constraints on your potential, and examine that wisdom very carefully. Examine that wisdom very carefully. In most cases, you're going to find that such constraints don't apply to anyone willing to push beyond them. Before going on to the next chapter, a few things to give a try. Number 1, take a good look at some of your mistakes you've made. Have you let these define you? How have your feelings about these mistakes changed after reading this chapter? We got a few minutes. Anybody want to dig on that? Take a good look at the mistakes that you've made. Mistakes that you've made, guys. Think about them. Have you let them define you? Are you the college dropout? You know, are you the high school loser? Right? Think about that. Isn't it crazy how much of a big deal we made of high school? Like, it was that much of your life, and none of those people are even around anymore, probably, except for the important ones. Does anybody have that? What have you made a mistake in your life and let that define you? So I got busted in college for selling weed. And my family tried to define that as me. And that was just, I had so much negativity thrown upon me because I was druggy, right? I was a druggie, and I was a loser, and I didn't go to college, and I was never gonna, do anything. My parents wanted me to go to the military. They wanted me to do this, that, and the other. And I didn't let that define me, though. You know what I mean? Because I started reading books, and I started, I can't tell you that I didn't feel that way. When before I had my car accident, I was in a depression, like things weren't going well. But books, a different way of thinking, getting rid of my limiting beliefs. Does anybody else have something that they want to share about a mistake that has defined you?
Yeah, I'll chime in. I had a couple of things like that happen to me when I was like, 20. I got a DUI. Just like leaving my college, and my parents thought I was a fuck up for a couple of years, and that was like hard to get over, and it kind of like bummed me out for a while. And then like in my early 30, a couple of years ago, I was engaged and it didn't work out, and my family kind of gave me a lot of shit for that. Even now they kind of do. So it's all for the best. I mean, I learned a lot from it, but definitely can be, if you let it, the kind of thing that can drag you down. So you just kind of move on from it and not let it define you.
I think a lot of our family can define us with our failures in business too. Like, I start, as an entrepreneur, you're going to do a bunch of stuff that's not going to work. That's the whole point, or not even that. A lot of times you're going to do something and it works, but you don't like it. That's not your path. So one of the first businesses I ever started was a Brinca Brinca business, which is like an inflatable bounce castle for kids' birthday parties. And from my car accident, I got like 15 grand. So I bought a bunch of equipment. I bought a few inflatables, some popcorn machines, cotton candy, all that shit. And it made money. It was great, but I didn't like it. And so when somebody offered to buy the business off me, I jumped at it. And, so of course all the families, because I would do everybody's birthday parties. Oh, what happened? Oh, it didn't work out. Huh? Oh, it didn't work, and they just assume I'm a failure because of it. It's just like, no, I just didn't like it. Like, meanwhile, they're sitting there at their jobs, and what are they creating? You know what I mean? They're making somebody else wealthy. So
I feel like a lot of people, especially those very close to us, including our family, sometimes they project their insecurities or their fears onto us, right? Or they think that our previous negative experience to them, right, that if that happens to us, that we will have the exact same outcome, right? I know people very close to me who got burned, right, in 07, 08 through real estate. And I tell them what I'm doing. They're like, oh, no, dude, if you do that, next hiccup in the market, you will declare bankruptcy just like I did. We're like, well, there's a lot of factors, right? But yeah, I just feel they tend to project, right, rather than support.
For sure. Raul, that's a great point. Who in there, so I'm going to say a word. Tell me, is it negative or is it positive? Bankruptcy.
It depends.
You're a failure, right? But no, like this
The strategy.
business, you know what I mean? They have it for a reason, right? Because they don't want one mistake to hold you down for your entire life. Bankruptcy is there for a reason. If you're gonna open several businesses, what do they say? Like, I think it's like a 2%, right? So 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 5 years. And then 9 out of 10 of those businesses fail in the next 5 years. So if you took on debt, 2%, so 98% of businesses may be looking at bankruptcy. So if most people do it, how is it, you know what I mean? But that's just how we've been trained, and then Raul made a good point. Like, a lot of people, they're going to project their shit into your life because of what happened to them. Oh no, man, I bought a house in 06, 07, 08, and I lost my ass and I went to foreclosure and blah, blah, blah. That was their experience. Did they even buy right? Were they even an investor, or did this is something that just happened to them? And then did they continue to educate themselves and pay attention and say, hey, this house was 200 and now it's 20,000. Maybe I should buy this house. Or were they so beat down from what happened to them that, oh no, what's it going to go to, zero? I had so many people who wouldn't buy $20,000 houses because they thought it was going to go down more. 10%, $2,000, 20%, $4,000. Like they just talked themselves out of it because of what happened. You know, everybody got burned. And are you an idiot if you got burned in 08? Like, no, everybody did. The market went from here to here, you know? So not many people had the foresight of that. Now, that being said, the next time it comes around, are you going to be ready? You know what I mean? If we have another downturn and you see that $20,000 house, if you don't take advantage of it, that's next time. Now that's on you because you're not learning from history. So, man, we missed you, man. We're done.
Yep. Oh, no. You know what? I some bad news. I returned a rental car, and that rental car got stolen.
Oh, man.
Right. I returned the man. It's ridiculous. So I had to go through the whole process of calling Geico. Yeah, that's why I was gonna jump on, but I had to take care of business.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry.
Man. So let's talk about that. That's a good one. So limiting beliefs in the car business, right? So everybody runs it a certain way. Enterprise comes around and says, you know what, we're just going to buy it. We're going to own on our cars. We're not going to worry about insurance. And we're going to do it just a little bit a different way. Doing it a little different way had them save on their bottom line, which allowed them to grow exponentially. So if men had a enterprise rent a car, they're going to be up his ass right now, unless they sign that waiver, right? So taking what your industry says and then being a genius about it and twisting it a little bit. Who'd I cut off? Okay. Let's go to the next one so we can wrap this up. Find a way to put something you've recently learned, even today, into action. Notice the difference it makes when you turn knowledge into power. Who learned something today that they're gonna implement? I want you guys to try my habit stacking. We want to get the white noise in our life. So if you have an exercise routine, I know it can be hard because a lot of times if you're doing a hard exercise routine, it can be difficult, but try to habit stack, you know, throw your white space on with something else that you're already doing.
Couldn't try be considered a limiting belief?
What's that?
Couldn't the word try be considered a limiting belief?
Don't try, do.
Yep, there you go.
There we go. All right. And then think about a situation where you allowed the opinions of others to sway your actions. How would you approach that same situation differently if the only opinion that mattered was yours? Ooh. Think about it. All right, guys. Next week, we are working on part 3, Limitless, motivation, the why. So this is going to be a big one. Motivation. You gotta have a want to get this done. So we will be reading. I believe it's around 70 pages. Yes. So we start on page 109. We're going to be talking about purpose. Chapter 7. Chapter 8 is about energy. You should be able to fly through this chapter because it's a lot of it's stuff to eat. It's recipes to eat for brain food. And then chapter 9, small simple steps. And then I think that's it. Chapter 10 is flow. So read part 3. Be ready to talk next Friday, 10 a.m. Anybody got any questions? I don't think we have any homework for this week. If you didn't do last week's homework, I want everybody 30 minutes of white space at least twice this week. Secondly, if you hear that ding, if it's not a ding you need to be hearing, get rid of it. Go on your notifications and get rid of that fucking ding on your desktop too, on your phone and on your desktop. And then use your brain, work it a little bit. Remember somebody's number. So I want it to be random this time. So just go pick somebody random that you never talk to, and I want you to remember their number. So everybody next week, let's do that. And then there's lots of great videos by Jim Kwik. So if you want to read a video or watch a video, there's tons of them out there for you to watch. I highly recommend it. He has lots of great stuff. I bought the speed reading course, and it's a day.
How's that go?
I haven't started it yet. It's 10 minutes a day for 21 days. So if you guys want, we can figure a time every day to just do it. I'm not gonna, this is probably something we should do.
Yeah, I think we should add it on.
I'm gonna be doing it. So if you guys want to kind of be in my presence while I'm doing it, you're welcome. Let me know. Let me know. And
I am
10
down.
minutes a day for 21 days.
Yeah.
Or don't be a cheap ass and just go by yourself. So like,
how much is the course?
I think it was like 270 or something like that.
Oh shit.
But from the video, I took one piece, because you know how it goes. They give you watch the video, he gives you like, little tidbits, and then you got to buy the course. So I used it once and it worked. It's awesome. So one piece of advice that he had was to associate, it's for names. My limiting belief is that I suck at names, even though that's not true. If it's important, back in high school, if it was that girl, I'm certainly going to remember her name, right? So if it's important to me, I do. So my limiting belief is that I have a bad memory with names. So that's not true. And one of the ways that I'm fixing it is to associate it with something. So in my experience, we were meeting some contractors, random. This guy walks up, starts talking to us. And I'm like, I'm going to remember this guy's name. His name's Tom. How did I remember his name? Because I thought Tom and Jerry. And then I envisioned him as a cat. So now I don't even see the cat part of it. But whenever I think about that dude, it's Tom, because it's Tom and Jerry. And it's weird. It's in my brain now. So think about, if you see, if somebody's name, whatever, Tom or Joe or whatever it is, associate it to something. And then I think it's not even the association. I think that you're putting thought into it and you're thinking of what it is, and then you're associating it, and then you remember about thinking about it, right? So give that a try. Give that a try this week. When you meet somebody new, associate their name with something that you'll never forget.
That's good.
That is it.
That's
Kris
good.
with a K.
Yeah, right?
Kris with the K.
All right, guys. See ya.